What up, everybody? Good morning. Now I have this weird irking suspicion that I got the date wrong. What's up, DC? How are ya? Hey, Marcus. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Marcelo. What's up, July 10th? Good morning, Daniel. Good morning, Wolfster. I'm wonderful. How are you? Howdy, Jordan. Hi, Susan. How are you? Of course, it's coffee time, everybody. It's always coffee time for me. Although, you know what? I've been obsessed with tea lately. I'm kind of a tea guy now. I'm a tea bagger. No, but I've been really into tea. And my girlfriend made some sun tea yesterday. And it turned out excellent. And it was really freaking cool. Have you considered using an agency to promote your show? No, I haven't. What agency? I wouldn't mind decent management. I don't have that. Or do you mean like the FBI? They probably... I'm sure I'm on some list somewhere. I don't know if that's promotion or not. What kind of tea do you like to drink on a regular basis? I like... You know, I'm not a connoisseur, to be honest with you, at all. But I enjoy... mint green tea was the sun tea that my girlfriend made, and it was absolutely excellent. And I also like a good English breakfast, and I like a good chai, because I like caffeine, you know? So, you know, I'm a big fan of caffeine. So those are my favorites. But I also like a good green tea. I drink sweet tea because I'm Southern. I drink sweet tea too. Because I lived in the South and I do miss a good sweet tea. I'm an espresso guy. Daniel, I too am an espresso guy. I don't like to choose. Guys, we're past 30. You know what that means. This show has officially begun. Welcome to Get Your News On With Ron, the world's first viewer-curated streaming news show. What does that mean? That means you guys tweet me articles, and I respond to them, and that's how we build the show. You guys are already, you guys have already sent me some stuff, and we got an exciting show. Kate, you put a few things on Reddit. I will be checking that out as well. But let's start out with today's question, because I got a complicated one. And I got one that I myself don't know the answer to. But it's something I'm wrestling with myself as a consumer. And that is, so Ralph Nader never tells anybody who he votes for. You can kind of infer who he voted for most of the time, I would say. But he never straight up tells anybody. And the more I think about it, the more I think the reason he does that is because he understands the voter shaming that happens. And I think especially now, you still have people pointing their fingers at people that voted for Gary Johnson, at people that voted for Jill Stein. More Jill Stein. For some reason, they never point their finger at... They never point their finger at the Gary Johnson voters. They only point their finger at Jill Stein voters. And that's because nobody likes to be out-lefted. That's why that is. But I digress. My question is, going on the Ralph Nader thing and looking at the way our conversation has been diluted and hijacked, is that maybe a good practice? I mean, I personally have thought about, you know what, maybe from now on, I'm not going to say who I vote for. I'm going to be like, I'm not going to say. I feel like if you're an elected official, you kind of have to say if you're questioned. But I feel like if you're not, then you don't have to say. And I'm getting to the point where I feel like maybe in the future I don't want to say anymore. And I don't want to tell people. I voted for Jill Stein. I've already been open about that, and I will continue to be. And I don't regret voting for Jill Stein. I would do the same thing tomorrow. But the way the voter shaming is so thick, and it's just so lazy. And I feel like if we were talking about actual issues that got us to this point, we could do a little bit better making progress and acknowledging that the status quo is completely broken. But when you have people going against each other, I mean, it amazes me that people will blame, especially with the Supreme Court right now. And I get it. It's terrible what's happening. It's terrible. I'm not going to say it's not. Of course it is. But you're going to blame people that voted for Jill Stein or didn't vote at all because they didn't feel like there was an option. You're going to blame those people instead of blaming Barack Obama for not fighting for a pick that was rightfully his because he was too busy cheerleading the TPP, and he wanted to twist people's arms into voting for Hillary Clinton because they knew how disliked she was. You're not going to blame the DNC for their behavior in cheating Bernie and propping up the only candidate Trump could beat. You're not going to blame the Pied Piper strategy that got Trump involved in the first place. You're not going to blame any of that. Instead, you're going to blame the 1% of people that voted for Jill Stein, which, by the way, you could have given all of her votes to Hillary. Hillary still would have lost. And you're also assuming that people that voted for Jill Stein would have voted for Hillary if Jill Stein wasn't running. So anyway, I'm rehashing stuff that we all know to be obvious. So getting back to my question, is it better to just shut up about who we voted for in the future, going forward? Just be like, I don't want to tell you who I voted for. It's not your business who I voted for. But here are the issues. Here's what's at stake. Here's what you can talk about candidates that you like, but as far as what you did in the ballot box, that's your business. Is that the right thing to do from now on? Or is that not the right thing to do? Because sometimes you got to stick your chin out and say, I'm not participating in this anymore. And this is what I'm doing with my vote. I'm going to be strategic with it. Tough question. I mean, I don't know the answer yet. I'm leaning towards following the Ralph Nader strategy. And from now on, who I vote for, I'm not going to talk about. Because I'll be honest with you guys. And this is getting personal. If Hillary runs in 2020, which again, I'm hoping she's not. I'll say this. I don't think there's nothing conclusive saying that she is. However, if anybody would try to run 3 times, it'd be her. I mean, there's no other politician in the world I can think of. Or at least, well, maybe the world's a bit much, but in the United States at least, that I can think of. That I could see doing it. There's no one else in the United States I could see doing it other than her. So I want to say she's not going to do it. I haven't seen anything conclusive saying she is. However, if anybody would, it's her. But anyway, my thing is, if she does run in 2020, and this is me personally, this is just me, I'd have a really hard time talking to people that I care about in my life, friends, family. I'd have a really hard time because God. I mean, I'm getting angry just thinking about it. I would not want to know. I would not want to know. I'd be like, you know what? If you're still playing this game and you voted for her, I'd rather not know about it. I'd rather not know. Because, All right, let's go to see what you guys are saying. It's up to the individual in the end, but I can see it going either way. Vote strategically, keep it secret, keep it safe. Okay. I personally am never ashamed of who I vote for. I never said anything about being ashamed. I'm not ashamed of who I voted for. I voted for Jill Stein. I'd do it again tomorrow. What I'm saying is, does it dilute the conversation when, you know, instead of really talking about issues, we're voter shaming? I think, for one, if everybody just kind of put aside who they actually voted for and we talked about what really got us to this point, I think we'd be better off. I really do. Hell no, the status quo will find something else to shame progressives for. Progressive people, should be telling people who they voted for and why. Can't you tell people how you feel without saying who you actually voted for? I'm not necessarily disagreeing with you, because I understand that perspective, but why does it have... I mean, some people don't vote as a way of protest. Let's see. So you are not going to endorse candidates in the future, Ron? I've barely endorsed any candidates to begin with. In the primary in California, I endorsed Maria Estrada, I endorsed Kenneth Mejia, and I endorsed Angelica Duenas. Oh, Gail McLaughlin. So I guess that's actually a fair amount, but out of everybody running, those are the only 4 people that I came out and vocally endorsed. And didn't do anything. Didn't do anything. I mean, you know, Kenneth made the runoff, Maria made the runoff. So, you know, I don't know what my endorsement means. I would say it means nothing. My endorsement doesn't matter. I barely make them anyway. Oh, and I endorsed Stephen Jaffe. And, I mean, he got slaughtered. So I mean, I barely make endorsements anyway, and it does absolutely nothing. So I don't see why that's like... That's pretty much a non-issue. People will always find a way to divide in the liberal and conservatives camps, even without talking about the candidates. That's true. The Hillbots are never going to keep quiet about their votes. That's also true. Correction, he got cheated. I don't think I ever said he didn't, but yeah, I'm with you. Assuming you're referring to Bernie, yeah, Bernie got cheated. Need to talk about who we vote for the new voters. That's a good point. It is not about changing minds. It's about bringing new people into the fold. That's a very good point. So my point, she didn't even get 5% and still scapegoated. Better to tell people who you voted for. Placone for Pasadena City Council. Yeah, I'm not running, but I appreciate that. Hey, Ron, would you ever endorse me for something? I don't know, Marcus. You're a Caps fan. No, I'm just kidding. Of course I would endorse you for something. I think you mean Jaffe. Oh, really, Jaffe? I've not seen any evidence for that. I'm not saying it didn't happen, but I've not seen any evidence hinting that Jaffe got cheated. If there is some, please send it my way, because I'd love to see it, because I was incredibly disappointed with the results there. I mean, we don't need to rehash the California primary. Some of you guys remember, some of you guys were on that day, and you remember how pissed off I was. So anyway, Placone for president of the Cat People Society. If I ever did run, that would be the one thing I would run for. Second, Placone for Pasadena City Council. Well, hey, you know what? If all you guys move to Pasadena and I really feel like I got a shot, maybe I'll do it. So come on over. So yeah, you guys make some excellent points. And again, my mind's not made up one way or the other. It's just, you know, every time the Supreme Court gets brought up, you just see so much voter shaming. And I feel like it just completely dilutes the conversation. It just glosses over the fact that Obama just gave away. Somebody said this to me over the weekend. And this is going to make everybody's blood boil, so get freaking ready. When I brought up, I was like, how do you blame the people that either didn't vote or didn't vote? And you know, this person was calling the people that didn't go out and vote, he called them idiots, he called them stupid. And I'm like, how How privileged and blind are you to tell the person in rural America that has been screwed for 40 years by neoliberal bullshit, thought Obama was going to be something different, and then it turns out he was just neoliberalism as usual, so nothing got better in their lives. How do you blame them when they're working 2 and 3 jobs to survive? They're living in borderline poverty. Their quality of life is in the toilet. You're going to shame them for not voting for Hillary Clinton after they had 8 years of Obama and nothing changed for them. You're going to shame them. That's so intellectually lazy and tone deaf and blind. It's unbelievable. And then when I said, you know what, you're going to blame the Supreme Court on, the most marginalized among us instead of blaming Barack Obama for not fighting for a pick that was his. And what that person said in response to me was, don't you think he was just being a gentleman? And I said, your delusion is... Wow. I mean, I was jaw-dropped then. I'm jaw-dropped now. Just rehashing what that person, who is a friend, said to me. He was being a gentleman. Oh, Obama was being a gentleman. And I said, well, guess what? I don't care about being a gentleman to your opponents. You were elected to do a frickin' job. And if you are the president that people elected, it is your job to appoint a Supreme Court pick. So my point is, and part of the reason why I bring up this question today is because, that's really been going on right now. And yeah, I mean, my conversation with that person was hopefully an exception to the rule. But although you hear that sentiment a lot, so yeah, you guys make good points on both sides of the aisle. My mind's not made up yet, although I used to never entertain the idea of not being vocal about who I voted for. But for the first time, I am entertaining that idea. And I can certainly see why Ralph Nader has reached that conclusion years ago, because he's been fighting this fight for a long time. And he probably knows how that game works, and he's probably seen all the shaming mechanisms in place, and so he's decided, you know what, I'm not going to let this be diluted this way. And Winkle brings up a great point. We could solve all of this if we had ranked choice voting. Marcus, what are 3 to 5 industries you want to nationalize and why? All right. You know what? We'll do this. Joe, make this a separate clip. Platypus, please cheer me up, guys. I've been struggling and feel really lonely at the moment. Much love, everyone. Hope you have a nice day. Peace. Platypus, cheer up. Platypus, cheer up. Platypus, cheer up. Why not? Platypus, cheer up. Platypus, cheer up. Platypus, cheer up. Why not? Hope that helped. Stop, Ron. Peter Dow can only orgasm so much. He's woke now, Balthasar. Don't forget. HRC winning is not irrelevant. GOP has multiple possible ways they can amend Constitution. Dems played a cerebral strategy under Nancy Pelosi for 26 years. Very true. All right, so getting back to Marcus's question. What are 3 to 5 industries you want to nationalize and why? Okay, social media. I want to nationalize it, make it a public utility. So then, instead of a Silicon Valley billionaires determining what is and isn't free speech, the First Amendment will. That's one. 2, the internet in general. I want to have municipal broadband all around the country. Why? Because I don't want ISPs to determine what kind of access we get. I want the public to determine what kind of access we get, and I want us to have internet speeds similar to other countries that are really, really making us look terrible in regards to our internet speed compared to theirs. And obviously, this has something to do with my livelihood. As you guys know, when the video stalls, it's a big pain in the ass for everybody. And it's annoying. And it might be happening right now. Who knows? Let's see. Number 3. Industry, I want to nationalize the media. I want our corporate media as it exists to not exist anymore, or I want them to have to say who their owners are at the very beginning. I think that if the FARA Act can be imposed on a bureau, aka RT America, it should be imposed on CNN, Fox News, and MSNBC, and they should have to say who their owners are. At which point most people will realize these aren't news agencies, these are thinly veiled PR agencies. And I think we need to have something similar to the BBC here in the United States. Would it be a perfect system? Absolutely freaking not. The BBC has the same problems we have, however, not nearly to the degree that we have. Not only do we need a nationalized news agency that needs to be run by an outside appointed agency, but we also need to have funding for alternative media incorporated into all of that. And it should be funded in the form of nonprofit digital newspapers. All right, that's my answer to your question. All right, let's go to the first article. Let me go over to the Reddit subsection, see what's going on. And then we're going to go over to, I think I gave this, I haven't given this a retweet yet. This is from Shauna. So let me give it a retweet. And then we're going to go over, and I think I got the margins a little bit better. I have to do this every morning when I get the articles ready for you guys. So sometimes the margins aren't perfect, and I do apologize for that, but it's a work in progress. Boom! We're at FAIR. Pretty good media watchdog, FAIR. Adam Johnson writes for them. I don't think this is an article by him, though. Let's see. No, this is by Jim Narakis. MIT sees dystopia in Chinese surveillance, which looks a lot like U.S. surveillance. Let's see what's going on here. There's a category of story we call them, not us. U.S. media reporting on problems abroad and seemingly not noticing that they have the same problems at home. Oh, yeah, that does happen all the time. I didn't know there was a category. But now I do. It's them, not us, and I like it. That's really cool. There's a great example of that in the New York Times. This is from a few days ago. Headline, Inside China's Dystopian Dreams. AI, excuse me. Yeah, that clearly means AI. There's some dude named Al, and Al's a douche, all right? Al loves to spy on people for no reason, and we're like, cut it out, Al. And he's like, hey, you can call me Al. And we're like, dude, Al, that joke was old, like 10 years ago, bro. So anyway, Al sucks. No, AI, shame, and lots of cameras. All right. So here's from the New York Times article. Beijing is embracing technologies like facial recognition and artificial intelligence to identify and track 1.4 billion people. Gee, I wonder what Snapchat is! It wants to assemble a vast and unprecedented national surveillance system with crucial help from its thriving technology industry. Gee, I wonder what Facebook does! I wonder what happened in that meeting Mark Zuckerberg had with intelligence agencies that nobody knew what they talked about. We covered that on this show. What if this show just turned into me like strumming guitar chords while you guys just read for yourselves? And I'll be like, is everybody done? Okay, I'm switching back over now. Thanks to Amazon, the government will soon be able to track your face. Oh, yeah. Good mention there. Amazon's doing the same thing. So is it really so unprecedented, though? The U.S. National Security Agency in 2011 described its new collection posture towards global economic communication as know it all, collect it all, process it all, exploit it all. Hard to get much vaster than that, isn't it? As for embracing technologies like facial recognition with crucial help from a thriving technology industry, here's a headline from a Guardian piece. Thanks to Amazon, the government will soon be able to track your face. Amazon was also in that meeting that I previously mentioned. Mazur went on to write, other systems track internet use and communications, hotel stays, train and plane trips. Sounds a lot like Amazon! And sounds a lot like internet browsers in general. So what a freaking joke of an article. Trying to make it out like this is something unique to China. and that we don't do exactly the same thing here. Because guess what, guys? Spoiler alert, we do exactly the same thing here. Let me see what you guys are saying in the chats. You guys are saying that this is silly. The analysis isn't silly. The analysis is a good article, but yeah, pretty ridiculous. All right, let's move on. You guys are sending a lot of stuff, and it took us a while to get to articles today. So let me jump right in here and see what is next. This is from Jessica. How are you, Jessica? Good to see you. And this is from alternate.org, an outlet that I used to never skip a day on. These days, I'm not as big of an alternate fan as I used to be. Not saying they don't still do some good work, but I used to never skip a day of alternate. I don't feel as strongly about their outlet anymore. But anyway, here we are, nonetheless. Christian broadcaster claims that the Democrats will go on a killing spree against Republicans in deranged rants. In a deranged rant. It's kind of like what Tucker Carlson said recently. They're plotting at 4th of July barbecues. Christian broadcaster Rick Wiles, a popular apocalyptic commentator akin to conspiracy theorist Alex Jones, went on a deranged rant Tuesday and told his viewers that Democrats are going to begin murdering Republicans. At what point do you charge the Democratic Party with being a terrorist organization? Wow. They're willing to do anything, and killing is the next thing they'll do, he said, adding, the Democrats started the first Civil War to protect slavery. The Democrats will start the second Civil War to protect abortion. Those two things, of course, go hand in hand. Wow. Man, the interpretation of history. The mental gymnastics necessary to interpret history that way. He called Democrats fanatical baby killers. Which is actually going to be the name of my comedy album. I've just decided right now. Keep a lookout for Ron Placone, Fanatical Baby Killer. But you know what it's going to be? The cover isn't going to be... The cover, I'm going to call it Fanatical Baby Killer, but the cover is going to be a picture of me making a baby laugh. See what I did there? It's going to be adorable, actually. It's going to be me, and I'm going to be making a baby giggle. Now, I'm pretty good at making babies giggle. I think the reason that is, and I'm being totally serious here, I think that there's a good chance a lot of babies, what the hell is that shit? Let's close out of that. All right, there we go. Some of you guys are like, why don't you have ad block? And that's a very valid question. I don't know why. And honestly, I think part of it is that I kind of like the spontaneity when something pops up and I talk about it, especially now that you guys can see what I'm seeing. But anyway, I think the reason I'm kind of okay at making like babies laugh is because I think for a lot of babies, there's a good chance I'm the first ginger they've ever seen. Like a lot of babies, I mean, unless, my cousin's baby, my cousin is also a ginger like me. That baby, I don't get a lot of laughs out of that baby. My cousin Kyla, she's like, you look like my dad. She's not so impressed because I do kind of look like her dad. I have more hair than he does, but that's like pretty much the main difference. Other than that, we kind of look alike. And so I don't get a lot of laughs out of her. But like other babies I've met, when it's like there's a good chance I'm the first ginger you've met, dude, they get a kick out of me. And I think it's because they might think I'm a clown, or they're just like, I've never seen a person that looks like that. That's pretty funny. He's allergic to the sun. That's hilarious. Anyway, that's going to be my album. It'll be out in November. I don't know if I'm actually going to call it Fanatical Baby Killer. I feel like now maybe I should. They're going to kill Republicans. And by 2020, on Election Day, they're going to kill Republican voters. They're going to block Republicans from voting. Look, Christian, what was the Christian broadcaster's name again? Like Magoo. Rick Wiles. Listen, Rick. The only people that the establishment stops from voting are poor people and brown people and felons, all right? Republicans, which Wiles also inaccurately claimed that the Democrats are now self-identifying as anarchist. That's, even the word socialism is a dirty word for Democrats. Should Sarah Huckabee Sanders quit? I mean, if she cares about her own stress level, she should. Yeah. Okay. Wow. What a loon. The Democrats aren't even doing anything politically to stop a Supreme Court pick. And you think they're going to go on some kind of crazy spree. Wow. Man, to roll around in that guy's brain for a few minutes, huh? That's impressive. All right. Thanks for sharing that, Jesse. It gave me a chuckle, and it gave me an album title. It's been a good day. Everything's turning up Ron today, huh? All right, this is from Andrew. Oh wait, I got out of order here. All right, this is from Sean. Let's go ahead and give this a Get Your News On with Ron retweet. And let me get over to it for you all. American banker, right? Huh? Senate Dem blasts Fed stress test results for Goldman Morgan. That's a loppy, kind of awkward, lopsided headline, is it not? Here, Senate Dem blasts Fed stress test results for Goldman Morgan. All right, so I guess the Fed are all becoming Scientologists, and they took a stress test, and it reveals that they have a lot of thetans, and the Senate Dems are like, you have to expel your thetans. I just got off the phone with Ted Cruz. All right. Oh, and I don't have a subscription to this article. Well, let's see. The Senate Banking Committee's top Democrat criticized the Federal Reserve Board's handling of stress test results for certain large banks. In a Senate floor speech this week, Senator Sherrod Brown of Ohio signed out the comprehensive capital analysis and review results for Goldman Sachs and Morgan Stanley, which he said got passing grades despite being unable to maintain minimum required capital levels. He also criticized the central banks reportedly having discussed the results with the two firms. So the writing in this article kind of sucks ass. And, yeah, I don't want to subscribe to it. Sean, if you have anything from an outlet that's not terrible, send it my way. Let's see. This is from David. And we're going to go here next. Let me go ahead and give it a Get Your News On with Ron retweet. Protest all you like, Susan Sarandon. In effect, you work for Trump. Nothing scares me more than an actress with an opinion. Marina Hyde wrote this. Protest all you like, Susan. It's time the Thelma and Louise star faced the fact that she's a MAGA asset who works for the U.S. president. Sensational news for people who thought Susan Sarandon couldn't get arrested in Hollywood. Blah, blah, blah. She's been arrested, not metaphorically, maybe not in Hollywood. Yeah, she was arrested protesting Donald Trump. Well, by the way, while a bunch of Mick resistors were shitting on her on Twitter, she was arrested for actually protesting. Oh, and you know what else she's done? She was going door-to-door for Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. I wonder if this writer was going door-to-door for somebody she supports. Maybe she was. I don't know. But I certainly hope so, if she's going to criticize Susan Sarandon like this. For now, let's remind ourselves of her rather grand public letter to the Stein campaign in which she foregrounded policies. Okay. Okay, so this is basically saying Susan Sarandon, let's remember that Susan Sarandon decided to participate in a supposed democracy. That she thought that the best choice for president was Jill Stein, and she exercised her right to vote for Jill Stein, okay? According to this article, by the tone of this article, she was wrong for that. That was very wrong of her to do. It's so ironic to me that the same people that scream from the rafters every day that a foreign nation supposedly hijacked our democracy, those are the same people who on our own soil here in the United States like to shame people for participating in said democracy. Russia hijacked the democracy that we hate the idea of. That's basically what you're saying. That's basically what the Mick resistance like this is saying. If your retort is that at least she'd let us be in charge. All right, hold on. I can't read this whole thing because it's so ridiculous. And it's the mental gymnastics we're all privy to. And again, it's pointing the finger at an actress who did nothing other than exercise her constitutional right. Meanwhile, you're not going to point the finger at Barack Obama for not fighting for a Supreme Court pick that was rightfully his. You're not going to point your finger at the DNC for cheating Bernie Sanders. You're not going to point the finger at the corruption within the Democratic Party, who, when it caved to the will of bankers and donors, became a party of the 1%, and thus people feel like they have no choice. Because their lives didn't get better under Clinton, their lives didn't get better under Obama. So they felt like they had no choice, and they're working 3 to 5 jobs to survive. You're not going to point the finger there. You're not going to point the finger at the Electoral College, where a candidate can win a vote by millions of votes and still lose the election. The Electoral College, a system rooted to appease slave owners, by the way. That's what the Electoral College is. You're not going to point your finger at overrepresentation in the Senate. You're not going to point the finger at gerrymandering. You're not going to point the finger at voter suppression, which happens in so many forms. Instead, you're going to point the finger at an actress. Do you not see how this article is a complete waste of time? And I know that's why David shared this. But what a painful waste of time via this author. And what misdirected anger. All right. Although Susan Sarandon did block the entrance to Michigan and Wisconsin. She did do that. She hung out at the state line and said, "You can't come in here, Hillary." What she did was she stood there and she kept doing the time warp with a bunch of her supporters. It was Susan Sarandon and a bunch of her friends, and they kept doing the time warp until Hillary Clinton was like, "Well, I'm not going to go over there." So that was Susan Sarandon's fault. So there is that. So she's not blameless, you guys. Totally not blameless. This is from Marcelo. So let's go ahead and give this a Get Your News On With Ron retweet. This is from Fox News. So it's going to get a propaganda source hashtag. I like to put that in there on Twitter in case somebody that's unfamiliar with this show thinks that I'm endorsing the outlet. All right, but here we go. Judge refuses Trump request to change court order on family detention. Okay. A federal judge has refused the Trump administration's request to change a long-standing federal court settlement so that officials could detain asylum-seeking families together during lengthy immigration proceedings. The Monday night ruling by U.S. District Judge Dolly G. in Los Angeles further complicates the administration's efforts to reunite more than 2,000 children separated from their parents while legally crossing the border. Why did it happen in the first place if the administration wants to prevent it so badly? Amending the so-called Flores settlement was a key part of President Donald Trump's executive order ending the practice of family separations. Justice Department officials had for weeks said the separations were unavoidable because the 1997 settlement bars authorities from detaining children when their parents are arrested. The Obama administration, facing a similar predicament, had also unsuccessfully tried to change the settlement. Yeah, you know, the Trump administration does not get a pass here. Past administrations don't get a pass either. Our system has led us to this point. And yes, what's going on now is an extra tone of despicable. Absolutely. And the groundwork was laid out over years. The Obama administration has blame. The Bush administration has blame. The Clinton administration has blame. I'm not going to be naive enough to say that this is all of a sudden something completely new with Trump. I'm also not going to be naive enough to think that Trump is some kind of good player in this scenario. He's not. The administration is not. This system has got us to this extra despicable point. I don't suffer from Trump derangement syndrome. I also do not suffer from Trump denial syndrome. If you suffer from one or the other, seek help. All right, but thank you for sharing that, Marcelo. Let's see. This is from Andrew, and Andrew says that progressives are fighting 3 different battles and need one to unite under one umbrella. This is going to be the last Twitter one, and then I'm going to go over to the Reddit to see what's going on the Reddit. So let's see what this is all about. It's from Progressive Power Media, and hopefully it loads. There we go. Here it comes. Imagine, if you will, a corporate oligarchy so effective, so advanced and fine-tuned that its citizens still call it a democracy. Ooh. All right. Man, this is small, huh? It is fair to say that the majority of socialists and progressives cheer on progressive Democrats, but many are unaware of the other battles being waged by progressive warriors across the country. In this article, I will highlight a few. Progressive candidates such as Tim Canova, Tamborine Arelli, and Greens such as Constance and Kenneth Mejia share all the policies as they're the only progressives in the races. All right, so they give a summary of Tim Canova, of Constance. So, all right. So it seems like they're only talking about electoral politics. It doesn't seem like they bring up... I thought at first when I saw this headline, it might mean that they're bringing up other issues, like issues of activism and stuff like that. It seems like this seems to be focused on electoral politics, which is fine. Electoral politics is important. And this reiterates the question that we've been trying to answer for a long time. You know, a lot of people say, we need to do an all-the-above approach. We need people Dem entering. We need people Green entering. We need, people to run as independents. My response to all that has always been, our numbers are still really small. I mean, you talk to some of these people, and you make it seem like this is some huge movement. It's not yet. We're still a small bunch. And I've concluded that I think the best option is a whole new party that I wish Bernie would get behind. That's why I went to the Convergence conference. I went there. I went to Bernie's office. Well, I wasn't alone. There were a bunch of us. But I was one of the people in Bernie's office that showed up with 50,000 signatures, or however many we had. I wasn't carrying it. Nick Brana was. But to plead with him to start a new party. And he didn't. And now, at least in the short term, it's too late. So some people, they have to Dem enter. Other people are running as independents. Some are running as Greens. And that's what we're stuck with right now. But I think in the long run, I think a new structure is what we need. I think that hijacking the Democratic Party, while not impossible, seems like a very, very long road. And I feel like our energy would be better spent building a new structure. But that's just me. And I don't know. Whatever works, I'll get behind. And, I continue to support progressives wherever they're at. But I too wish we had a more channeled direction when it comes to electoral politics. And beyond electoral politics, keep in mind, you can do something in your backyard, and you don't need Congress or the Senate to do it. And if we all did something in our backyards, we can make this country a better place. I know that sounds really idealistic and a little naive and maybe even a little like mawkish. And in some ways it is, but you know, it's also very true. Let me go see what you guys are saying in the chat, and then I'm going to go over to the Reddit. But let me see what y'all are saying in the chat. Have you heard of the new fugitive crime drama show coming to NBC this fall about a political pariah on the run? It's called Suddenly Susan Sarandon. Thank you, Winkle. I appreciate that. And thank you for the Super Chat contribution. Marcus, thank you for the Super Chat contribution. Ron, everyone, when did you finally know you were left? Let's end with that one. Remind me what Dems did to boost election integrity. Absolutely nothing, Balthazar. Good point. Ron, Streamlabs can alert you when Super Chats come in. I mean, I always go over to the chat when I'm ready to, but yeah, I'll have to look into that. Cool. We'll answer Marcus's question to end the show. Let's check out the Get Your News On with Ron real quick and see what we got here. Oh, this one's a video, and you know what's awesome? We can watch videos together now. All right, so this was posted by Scrabble Eddie. Thank you, Scrabble. And this is a YouTube clip with Richard Wolff. We're going to watch a little bit of it.
If you write anything.
Yeah, you guys can hear that, right? Okay, cool.
I write pretty much.
That's annoying. All right, let's go over to it. Boom, check that out. We're watching videos together. Watching videos.
All day, every day.
Whatever, Grammarly. I don't care. We're not going to watch this whole thing.
Welcome to On Contact. Today we discuss the coming collapse of the American economic system with economist Richard Wolff.
All right, so this is a light one.
To a capitalist system because we've been afraid to debate it. And when you give a free pass to any institution, you create the conditions for it to rot.
See?
Right behind the facade, and that's what I think is happening.
They have to put this on everything.
Inequality in the United States has not been this pronounced in over a century. The top 10% has 50% of the country's income, and the top 1% has 20% of the income. While a quarter of all American workers struggle on wages of less than $10 an hour, putting them below the poverty line, the salaries of the CEOs of top corporations are often in the billions of dollars. This income inequality is global. The richest 1% of the world's population controls 40% of the world's wealth. What does inequality this pronounced mean?
He's right, it's global. Chris Hedges is absolutely right. But, I mean, to the best of my knowledge, our numbers in the United States are exceptionally higher than pretty much all other countries. So while that is true, I mean, neoliberalism is a worldwide disease. We really have it on extra amped up steroids here in the United States. All right, let's get to Richard Wolff, shall we? Let's see. Here he is.
And it happened because the last time capitalism crashed in 1929, and that was the only one worse than what we are living through now since 2008. At that moment in history, we had a different American response. The mass of working people joined unions. These are people whose parents hadn't been in a union, they had never been in a union. They saw the union as a way to get through this depression with less damage than you otherwise would have had to undergo. And they joined socialist and communist parties, and those parties worked together with the labor union, the CIO, and you had a mass, and I don't use this word lightly, a mass uprising of victims of capitalism shaking their finger at the system and basically giving Mr. Roosevelt and the political elite an ultimatum.
Well,
And that's exactly what needs to happen today. There have been articles out there that say that today's left mirrors the left of the 20s and 30s. Now, the articles that I'm referring to have come from corporate outlets, and they're saying that like it's a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. It's a necessary thing. We need to mirror the left of the 20s and 30s, meaning economics is the big elephant in the room. And we connect these economic issues to all the other issues. And we have to fight for workers' rights. We have to fight for more income inequality. And that's what has to be done. Because when they rose up, we had a thriving middle class for about 30 years. We had strong unions, maybe even more than 30 years. And then in the 70s, it started taking another ugly turn. And now we're marrying the Great Depression all over again. So what we need is our FDR. What we need is the rise in the working class. And that's why playing the status quo game with the Democratic establishment isn't good enough. It's not good enough. Lesser of two evils isn't good enough. Incrementalism isn't good enough. There's a time for incrementalism, and then there are times for sharp turns. If this isn't a time for a sharp turn, what is? This is a time for a sharp turn. And if we don't have one, it's going to be too late. So the people that say, oh, lesser of two evils, Trump, lesser of two evils, they're completely misdirected. That's not the way to look at it. The wrong way to look at it is saying, hey, Trump is so bad, we just got to settle for anything that's not Trump. That's the wrong way to look at it. The right way to look at it, Trump is a point of crisis. We have reached a point of crisis. And 40 years of bullshit have gotten us to this point. We need to shift the status quo or we're never going to solve this problem. We're just going to get another Trump in 4 to 8 years. And the next one will be even worse because it will likely be a more competent president. So I'll answer Marcus's question. When did you know you were left? I'll answer that on many levels. I found out I was left-handed when my mom told me. I favored my left hand, and my mom was like, hey, you're left-handed. And I was like, oh, cool, I'm left-handed. And I didn't know anything else. Still do use my left hand all the time. So I found that out pretty early. As far as when I found out where I was politically, I guess I always leaned Democrat as far as just based on someone who wasn't paying attention to politics. I mean, I knew my parents were Democrats. I knew that most of the people in my neighborhood were Democrats and stuff like that. There were a couple Republicans, but for the most part, people were Democrats. So as a kid, and again, I wasn't paying attention to politics. I couldn't even really tell you the differences between the two parties. But, I kind of thought, well, I'm not a Republican. But as far as when I woke up to politics and when I started having my own identity within it, I would say freshman year of college, which in some ways I was a late bloomer. But I really wasn't paying attention until my freshman year of college. And I read Noam Chomsky, and I saw Outfoxed, and I started really looking into why the hell we were in Iraq, because I didn't know why. And that was kind of my awakening. And, it's been quite a ride since. And as soon as I found out what single payer was, I thought, why the hell isn't that our healthcare system? Why is that not our healthcare system? And I remember... I've told this story before. I don't want to go into the story, but, I was dating this girl, and she lost her health care because her stepdad, or her dad, it was actually her birth dad, didn't want to provide it for her anymore, and he was able to just do it because she was over 18. So she was just in college with no health care. And it blew my mind that something like that could happen in a country as rich as the United States. And I thought, how can we have a system that allows this to happen? And then I found out how, and I found out why. And ever since then, I've been a big supporter of single payer. And, yeah. So, let's go over to the chat, see what you guys are saying about that. Thank you for helping me smile. Again, much love. Thank you, Platypus. Glad you're feeling better. Dwayne says, I knew Rush Limbaugh was a D-bag at 10. Trump isn't the issue. He's a symptom of the issues. Whining about Trump 24/7 accomplishes nothing. I agree. Iraq woke a lot of us up. Yeah, well, I mean, for me, that's what I can say. Yeah, Iraq was the big thing. Because, you know, my family and friends were going over to fight that war. And I thought, why the hell are we in this war? We reach out to leftists. Oh, this jumped on me. Adam, we reach out to leftists in the global south, Ron. What about reconnecting to native struggles? Touching base with Jordan Meb. I don't know who that is, but please feel free to send me some info. You know, Cody Jock, who is a regular viewer on this show, at least when he can be, he sends us a lot of articles from the native community, and that's kind of how I kind of keep up on it the best I can, because he's a native, and he's very, very, very in tune to those issues, and he helps educate me on it. I actually learned a lot from him, and he's a young guy too. Let's see here. Basically, Ron has always been for the people, and that's why he's left. Ron's a man for peace and for spreading public growth. Aw, thank you, Daniel. That's very kind of you. I'm fooling everybody. No, just kidding. They could bring back the draft at any time. That's true. My brother went to that war and the Afghan war. I had some friends that went to that war, and I had a cousin that went to that war. I didn't have a brother that went to that war because I don't have a brother. But Vietnam was the first wake-up call. I think a lot of people woke up for Vietnam. That's why we leftists need to start planning now for what will come after. Read Dr. Gene Sharp. I'm not familiar with Dr. Gene Sharp, but I will check that out. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. We need to mirror what happened in the late 20s, or we're going to be in a hell of a lot of trouble. It's going to get worse. I mean, it's going to get worse no matter what, but it'll get worse for a really freaking long time, to the point where I don't think we'll be able to bounce back. So, yeah, it's up to us to be the left of the 20s and 30s, to be the pro-union, pro-worker, pro-equality left. Not the limousine liberals, not the incrementalists, not the centrists. It's not the time for that. Like Daniel says, we need a 180. It's time for a sharp turn, not incrementalism. I think that's a good way to end it. Guys, thank you very much. We are totally out of time. You guys make this show possible. Without you, it wouldn't happen. I need you guys to do this show. Thank you for being such awesome participants. Thank you for being such awesome executive producers, because that's what you guys are. You guys build this show. Great articles today. Thank you so much. This hour flew by. It always does. Want to help support this show and make it longer? Patreon.com/Ron Placone. You know the drill. Hey, give what you can level. You get all kinds of bonus content, free tickets when I come to your town, which, by the way, some quick announcements. Sacramento, November 2nd. Graham Elwood and I are going to be in your fair city, Sacramento, California, at the Luna Cafe. And November 3rd, we're going to be at Neck of the Woods in San Francisco, California. So Sacramento, San Francisco, we're coming. November 2nd, Sacramento. November 3rd, Neck of the Woods in San Francisco. Tickets will be available shortly. We just confirmed that yesterday for Sacramento. Tickets to San Francisco are available now. Tickets to Sacramento will be available soon. They're not available yet, but they will be available before the end of the week. And I will announce when they are officially on sale. But November 2nd, Sacramento. November 3rd, San Francisco. And I will be in Pittsburgh November 23rd. Tickets for that are available now. Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I'll be at Hambones November 23rd. Thank you all very much. You make this possible. This has been Get Your News On with Ron, the world's first viewer-curated streaming news show. That means you guys send me the articles and we talk about them. I love you all very much. Stay safe. I will be back tomorrow at 10 a.m. Same bat time, same bat channel, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. I will see you then. Peace.